Hi, so my topic for this lecture is what to do if you have a day in DC, in just a day, to check stuff out. So I just want to start off by stating the goals and objectives. So for the goals, the audience will have a better understanding of DC and what the city has to offer. I'm in college, so I like free things, so there'll be a little bit more emphasis on the free stuff. Students have a better understanding of public transportation and how to efficiently ride the metro and buses, especially the metro. It's our subway, so just kind of figuring that out is essential to doing any sort of sightseeing in DC. And then lastly, the audience will ultimately have an appreciation of the historical significance and diverse number of statues, memorials, and museums located in DC. And then as for objectives, the audience will be able to assess and make decisions on what places to visit in DC, classify and name items on a map. I have two maps in the handout that are for like memorials and museums, and then a metro map, and we'll go over those in more detail a little later. And the last objective is the audience will be able to navigate the metro system. So just before we start talking about like attractions and stuff like that, I just want to go over a little bit of history. DC was founded on July 16th, 1790. It was placed in technically southern states as a compromise, so both Maryland and Virginia had to give up a little bit of land. The War of 1812 resulted in a lot of area being destroyed, and then after that, part of Virginia wanted their side to be taken back, so DC actually ended up with less land and up until the Civil War. But then what really helped grow the population was the emancipation of DC slaves, which happened before the Emancipation Proclamation, and so it led to an increase in population, but people staying around after they were emancipated really helped. And then DC's been expanding ever since. Neighborhoods that have been kind of brought in include Georgetown, which Georgetown University is part of the Big East, and then LaFont, which is a major metro stop now. A couple more fun facts. DC residents could not vote until 1964, which is really ironic. DC residents also get an in-state tuition for all state schools. Lucky. And the National Mall that we know of today was created in 1901. And then a little kind of slang sort of thing. People from this area, we call DC, Maryland, Virginia the DMV. And my roommate always asks, like, so what do you call the actual DMV? And we call it the MVA. So if somebody refers to the DMV, they don't mean the place you go for, like, car stuff. So first off, I want to talk about the metro system. There are 6 lines, they're color coordinated, and there's 91 stops total. And in your handout, there is a map. I have it here too. Yeah, it looks pretty intense. They're all color coordinated, so they're red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and then they just added silver. So it's a combination of underground, surface, and then like sort of aerial / bridge stops. And then if you are there in DC for a weekday, they're open 5 a.m. to midnight, and then weekends it's 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. And so the fare changes based on where you're going and at what time. So if it's rush hour and you're going from like one end to another, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than if you pick a non-rush hour time and you go like closer. So in your handout, there's a link to sort of like a trip planner. So if you want to put the exact amount of money on your card, you can. It'll ask you for like where you're going and at what time. So you don't have to like end up with a card that has like $1 on it and you don't know what to do with it. So the key to navigating is just knowing the last stop on the line you are on. So like for my school, I had to go from Wheaton, which is up here, all the way to Grosvenor, which is over here. So I do like this. And the way I knew which train to get on was I knew Shady Grove was the last stop in the direction I wanted to go. So when the train said to Shady Grove on it, I hopped on that one and not the one that says Glenmont. Otherwise I'd just go nowhere, just go up a little. There are maps in stations, but they're not as, there's not as many as just signs that say it's going to this stop or it's going to that. Like if you want to go from like where I live, which is Wheaton, all the way to the airport, which is right here, you want to go in the direction of Shady Grove until you get to like a big stop. So there's a couple stops where train like lines intersect, and that's where you can like hop on another one. So here I could get on the blue line if I wanted to and take it all the way down to the airport. I could take orange and then blue. I would just wait and take the blue so I don't have to like get up again. So it can be a little tricky, but if you get on the wrong spot or stop, you can switch trains for free. So let's say you're heading in the wrong direction, just get off at the next stop and then hop on the next one without leaving the station. If you swipe your card, it is not free, but if you end up like realizing your mistake before you leave that station, you can always hop in the other direction and it won't be charged against you, which is nice. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I would recommend having a map on your phone just because sometimes the carts where you're sitting don't have a map, but they will always say the stop that you are going to next and then where this train is ultimately heading when you get on the train too. So it's pretty straightforward. And then the buses are really similar to here in Omaha. They have maps that you can buy and stuff, and then, or not buy, you can get them from the bus. And then everyone who like drives the bus is really nice, and they'll tell you like where exactly it's going and stuff like that. But if you're in DC, you're probably just gonna ride the metro. But if you want to venture to Georgetown, you might have to take a bus. But again, they'll tell you all the stops and everything like that. So I guess your main focus would be the metro. So yeah, the next thing we're going to talk about are the Smithsonian's. They're all free, which is great. Again, I have a map on your handout that has like the National Mall and all the museums around it. My personal favorites are the National Air and Space and the Museum of Natural History, but total there are 19 museums and galleries. The zoo is also part of it. The zoo's free, but I would not recommend going in your day just because it's not as nice as like Omaha's and stuff, and it's not really worth going all the way to like Cleveland Park when everything else in DC is like kind of not where the zoo is, unless you are really into seeing pandas. Pandas are cute. That's all they can really brag about though at that zoo. But there's plenty more that the Smithsonian has to offer. A lot of the museums are in that attachment, so be sure to scroll in that handout and check that out. But again, my favorite are the Air and Space and then the Museum of Natural History. And there's other museums too, like the Spy Museum, that aren't a part of the Smithsonian. The Holocaust Museum is also really good, but the handout I have just have the museums and galleries that are on the mall, so if you want to look at memorials and museums and kind of within all walking distance, then that's the way to do it. And then so moving on to memorials, my favorite are the Lincoln Memorial and the Vietnam Veterans Memorial is really neat. They're both really, really close to each other. Again, I have a map, so you can see where everything is. Another really fun one is the World War II Museum. People really like to see like their state because all 50 states have like a statue in it, which is really cool. Again, all free, all super close, so you can see everything very like efficiently and enjoy it too. The Washington Monument costs money, so that's a bit more of a time commitment. Just because there's a lot of waiting in line. I've never been, just because there's other things to do that are free, but if that's something on your bucket list, then hey, go for it. Just be aware that it's going to take some time, just because you have to wait in line and stuff like that. Again, yeah, just refer to the map because everything's really close, easily within walking distance, so it's a lot of fun. So I guess people will be very hungry after they walk around a lot. So the two places I recommend are Ben's Chili Bowl and We the Pizza. If you're adventurous, you can go to Georgetown Cupcakes. You will either have to walk or take a bus for that. It's not on the metro. And that one's not really like budget friendly because it's really popular and DC things are kind of expensive. But there are more options on a link I put in the handout, so check that out. And like DC has its own website and they categorize food based on like new things, affordable things, but the link I have is like cheaper, like budget friendly stuff, so check that out. And then again, if you're on the mall all day, there's food courts and then there's like stands and stuff like that, but like for a sit down place, like Ben's Chili Bowl because it's famous. But yeah, and then after all that, if you have a little bit more time, I would definitely check out a sporting event. As of right now, the Washington Capitals are the sport to be at. It's the hockey team for DC. A few fun facts about them. Their first season was 74-75, and they had the worst record in history, losing 67 games. They've never won a Stanley Cup title, but they've only gone to the finals once, so you might be thinking, why would I want to go to one of their games? Well, they're currently number 1 in all of the NHL, so right now it is the place to be, and that would be the best sporting event to go to. And where they play, the Verizon Center, is on a metro stop, Chinatown on the Red Line, and if you want to find it on your map, it's actually a stop where a lot of places kind of go, like it's Gallery Place, and then here, one stop away are all these lines, so a lot of good connections, easy to get to. Also Chinatown, a lot of my friends go get like dim sum and then go to a game, stuff like that. They also have a Shake Shack, if you've never been. So just due to them being really good this year, the atmosphere is like the best. It might be a little bit more expensive, but not terrible. I know really good nosebleeds are like $40 each, so I mean, I would say it's definitely worth it. They're very good this year. So that sort of itinerary hopefully will lead to a very, very busy but fun day. I hope you enjoyed. Please check out those links if you ever do go to DC. They were really helpful with like forming this lecture, and they'll give you more options for like places to eat, like planning trips, and then the maps you can like learn more about different Smithsonians other than the ones I've mentioned, and as well as the memorials. So thanks for listening. Hope everybody has a good weekend.